attention. A brutal battle. Before the sun had even risen above the horizon, the African Savannah had begun to awaken. The rustling layers of dry yellow grass are a whispering reminder that the fight for survival here never stops, even in the quietest moments. Don't miss the next journey. Nature always has secrets waiting for you to discover. Indomitable warrior of the African Savannah. On that seemingly peaceful grassland, a rugged figure was moving silently. Head bowed low, muzzle close to the ground, ears constantly swiveling in all directions. The lone wild boar was searching for dry roots and tubers left in the cracked ground. It is not as beautiful as an antelope, nor as majestic as an African elephant. But in this harsh, wild world, beauty does not help anyone survive. Only its innate intelligence and tenacity allowed it to survive another day. Comment Hasson if you like warthog battles. The wild boar did not need much. A few pieces of roots, dried tubers, and some soft meat were enough for a morning. But food was not everywhere, and it was not the only creature looking for it. In the bushes a few hundred meters away, a lioness was stalking her prey. Her hungry stomach and her cubs waiting at the nest would not allow her to fail. In front of her, a lone wild boar, absorbed in foraging for food, a perfect target. In the distance, on a knoll, a troop of meerkats sunbathes. They are the smallest but most wary inhabitants of the savannah. When one raises its head and makes a sound, the whole herd stops, eyes on the direction of the movement. A hunt is about to begin. The lioness lowered her body, gliding lightly through the tall grass, almost invisible. The boar continued digging until the wind changed direction. It paused, ears erect, eyes darting, the scent of blood and fur wafting. A jerk, the dry grass collapsed with each heavy beat. The weasels watched silently with their dark eyes, witnessing only the refinement of the steppe over thousands of years. Far away, where the sun was shining on the horizon, a small nest hid in the bushes. The fierce battle But that morning, their mother returned empty-handed carrying only the smell of defeat and dust. The steppe was silent, as if there had never been a chase. The boar stood still for a few seconds, then bent down to continue gnawing on the dry root. No applause, no trumpets. Only the silence of creatures that have outlived the applause. And in this world, survival is a great victory. After the intense morning chase, after the defeat of the hungry lion, after the fierce attacks that forced the predator to retreat, the wild boar still stood there in the middle of the steppe. Not jubilant, not in a hurry to escape. In this world, calm after the storm is also a survival skill, and it has been mastered. What helps wild boars survive millions of years of harsh evolution is their ability to adapt, deeply engraved in every detail of their bodies. The long, curved fangs, sometimes up to 25 centimeters long, are not only defensive weapons, but also effective digging tools. The rock-hard bony protrusions on either side of the cheek act as a biological armor against impact. Thick, rough, almost hairless skin, perfect for cooling in the African sun, no need for shade. What seems crude on the body of the wild boar is actually the result of millions of years of natural selection. They do not live ostentatiously, do not fight for territory, do not waste energy on useless things. They take advantage of abandoned caves, expanding them into hidden fortresses. Always enter with the head tail behind, so that the enemy meets the sharp fangs first, not the weak back. Thanks to that, when the dry season reaches its peak, when the antelope herd migrates hundreds of kilometers, when the river dries up into a stinking swamp, the wild boar still calmly chews roots, drinks dew, and waits for the first rain of the season to return. In a world where strength is measured by claws and speed, there are creatures that choose a different path, to live long, quietly, unnoticed, but also to fall victim. The wild boar is one such creature. It is not particularly intelligent, has no impressive speed, and no large herd to protect, but with instinct, stubbornness, and a few well-timed attacks, it gets through day after day, dry season after dry season. When the sun reached its zenith, the steppe took on a different look, tense, heavy, sultry. Not many creatures dared to be active outdoors at this time. The heat was like an invisible fire covering the ground. The grass withered, the air was still. The wild boar felt its body burning, and it knew where to go. It followed the familiar trail to a small mud puddle left over from a rare early season rain. Without hesitation, it crawled down, half of its body submerged in the soft mud. Then it slowly lay on its side, rolled over, rubbing the mud on its snout, back, cheeks, and skinny tail. The mud clung to its body like a thin coat, protecting, cooling, and soothing its skin under the harsh sun. And then, from a mound not far away, the familiar caretaker appeared. A flock of meerkats were sunning themselves. Small, agile, and herd living, they are indispensable inhabitants of the steppe. Slender bodies, short legs, high-set tails, and alert eyes. They are perfectly adapted to life in the bush. Each individual has a role in the pack: hunter, sentinel, guide. Unlike many small carnivores that live alone, meerkats live in complex, stable social structures. They do everything together: foraging, caring for their young, resting, even running away from predators. Their diet is varied: insects, larvae, scorpions, small snakes, bird eggs, wild fruits, even carrion. But what makes them particularly remarkable is their habit of cleaning up large animals. They often climb on the backs of buffalo, antelope, rhinos, and even wild pigs to pick off ticks, fleas, and parasites. A simple but effective symbiotic relationship. The small ones get a protein-rich meal, the big ones get clean. Without any fear, they quickly climbed onto the back of the wild boar, starting their work like dedicated technicians. Each tiny claw skillfully removed the dry mud. Each sharp tooth gently pulled out the mites and larvae hidden under the wrinkled skin. The wild boar lay with its eyes half closed, enjoying the rare moment of leisure between the heat and the care of the tiny claws. The dry season gradually gives way to the first rains of the season. The prairie sky was torn with lightning, then torrential rain fell on the parched grassland. In just a few days, the cracked ground turned black and damp, and young grass sprouted green like a promise fulfilled. For wild boars, it signals the start of breeding season. The wild boar that survived that encounter with the lion is no longer alone. It made it in the early weeks of the rainy season, and now, in a deep burrow under a familiar mound, a litter of young was growing by the day. Just a few weeks old, they have small bodies, brown fur, short, soft legs, and tails that stand straight like tiny antennas. Every morning, when the sun rises, the mother pig leads her babies out of the den, teaching them to dig, chew roots, and recognize warning signals from nearby civets. The green season on the Savannah is full of life, but it is also the time when bloodthirsty predators become more dangerous than ever. And fate brings back a familiar face, the lioness of the past. Now she no longer hunts alone. Beside her are agile, powerful sisters,